Living in the universe that Invincible takes place has to be one of the worst possible outcomes of any fictional character. Literally no one is safe. Not regular people, not aliens, not superheroes or supervillains, no one. You could be enjoying yourself at the beach, minding your own business, when all of a sudden, the planet's strongest superhero is inside you. And not in a good way. But it doesn't even matter if you're a regular person or not. Look at the Guardians, who are a group of the strongest heroes, just get absolutely smacked by one guy. Life is rough in this universe, and that's especially true for our main character, Mark. The beginning of his life is cool. He grows up in a stable world with good parents who have a healthy marriage.
It should have been me, not him!
Maybe his life isn't so bad, but his dad is a superhero who saves the world. Bro really has the ultimate, my dad can beat up your dad. He also knows he'll get superpowers just like him. The first episode of the entire series begins by showing us the White House being attacked, which should be considered a major terrorist attack, but it happens so often that Mark and his mom don't even care. Mark goes to school where in one of his first scenes of the entire show, we already see him get beat up by a bully for Amber. But hey, as he's getting his ass kicked, she comes to his rescue and kicks the bully in his nuts.
Got him!
And at least the girl he likes noticed him. Later that day, he's taking out the trash at his crummy job when all of a sudden, he gets his powers and almost sends that shit to the moon.
Go! Go to the moon!
But like, ain't no way. That plastic bag is breaking faster than my dad left to get milk. What in the Looney Tunes logic? Not only does the bag not break, but it manages to make it all the way to Britain, almost killing someone. Could you imagine dying to some flying trash?
Oh, great heavens!
That might be one of the most embarrassing ways to go out. This is where all of Mark's problems begin. His first day of having powers and he almost gets hit by a plane and catches some hands from his dad. But it's okay. Within the week, he's able to get a basic understanding of his powers and is able to take down his first bad guy. But obviously, things can't stay good for him, because that same day, his poor dad tragically gets put in the hospital by an unknown assailant. And to make it worse, the Guardians of the Globe have been wiped out. This leads to all the Earth's defenses being taken out simultaneously, leaving Mark to pick up the slack. And on his very first day, the planet gets invaded.
What the Sigma?
You can't make this up. Mark's not prepared for this and freezes up during the attack. He's essentially useless. But hey, at least he gets to be permanently scarred after seeing a bunch of people dying.
I've fallen, and I can't get up!
His dad recovers from his injuries and takes care of the invasion, and Mark gets Amber's number. Things are starting to look up for him. He goes out with Amber and they connect. He really likes her, but every time they hang out, duty calls and he has to do hero stuff. He goes to Mars and saves some astronauts, makes friends with Eve, and tries to help out a local superhero take down the mob, which leads to him, can you guess it? Is it A, easily taking down the mob, B, resolving the problem with words, C, making the mob boss fall in love with him, or D, almost dying? If you chose C, you were close, but it's actually D. I have the Invincible and Machine Head fanfic in the works though, don't worry guys. Mark takes out most of the mob's goons, but this cat-looking man stands in his way. He tries to fight him, but ends up with a literal hole in his stomach. Since he's a Viltrumite, he gets to survive, so he can do it all over again. He heals up and decides to take a break from superheroing so he can go take a college tour. But bad things always manage to happen when he's around, and he's forced to fight some nightmare-fuel cyborg people, which leads to him and Amber getting in an argument and breaking up. He decides now is the time to show Amber his secret identity. And how does she react? Yeah, she doesn't care, because apparently she knew he was invincible the whole time.
Bruh.
I feel like everybody has talked about how stupid this was way too much, and I don't have anything new to say, so here's the creator of the show talking about it.
You know?
I'm not an idiot. I figured it out weeks ago. Who was that?
The police are on their way.
Where the hell did you go?
Maybe she was playing, cool there. I don't know. Or maybe that was a mistake. Who knows?
But after getting rejected by Amber, he heads to the side piece's place. He's ready to quit being a superhero, which would probably be the smartest decision he can make, but Eve convinces him not to. Mark and Eve take off from her little treehouse when who do they run into? None other than his dad, who's getting his ass beat by a monster that even Godzilla would struggle against. He helps him win the fight, only for him to witness his dad slice Immortal in half. His dad explains himself, and Mark realizes he basically wants to enslave the Earth, and that he thinks of his mom as a pet. He's been lied to his whole life by the person he loved most. He knows he has to throw hands with his dad now. He puts up his fist ready to duel, but he stands no chance. He catches the meanest beating of his life. I'm talking go get the belt kind of beating. If you know, you know. He's on the brink of death when his father just dips out to space and abandons him. Mark's trying to beat me so bad, but after recovering, he and Amber get back together. Hasn't this poor kid suffered enough? Damn. And that's where we end season 1. The time passed from the first episode to the last couldn't have been more than a few months, but in that time span, we've seen Mark on the brink of death twice. His dad almost died. He starts dating his crush and finds out she kinda sucks, but still gets broken up with. His dad turns out to be a psychotic killer who forced him to watch. Then, he dips after almost putting him on a t-shirt. And to top it all off, he gets back with Amber. Season 1 Mark was on a generational run. The next season starts off and Mark has PTSD from what happened. And that's to be expected. His dad held his head in front of a moving subway, and he was forced to watch people die from ramming into him. I wouldn't be able to ride public transportation again after that. I mean, I wouldn't ride public transportation regardless. You're not gonna catch me in a bus. But Mark is forced into action sooner than he wants when he's forced to stop the Mahler twins and some random scientist named Angstrom Levy. The twins are honestly beating his ass because there's a bunch of variants of them, and they might even kill him until the scientist puts a stop to his machine and helps him out, causing it to blow up, killing everyone except for the scientist and the one Mahler twin. Yay, more PTSD for Mark. This season is starting out strong. He gets some good news that he's been accepted to college. But Amber's going to the same one. Aww. The next episode starts and Mark is missing his graduation, taking out a villain from season 1. Because of course he managed to get out. Mark deals with him just in time to get his diploma. And when all of a sudden we get what might be the worst thing to happen to Mark in the entire series.
Marcus Sebastian Grayson.
How is your life this awful and your middle name is Sebastian? He was set up for failure. After graduating, Mark gets sent to the Shadow Realm. He's forced to marry this ugly ass fish, but it turns out to be a trap.
It's a trap!
And he has to fight this big crab thing, which backfires on the fish people, and the crab breaks out of its chains, and Mark, bless his sweetheart, he's too good for these racist fish.
About that,
you will address her as your majesty. Air breather.
You need to leave!
Back at college, Mark has probably the least awful day we will probably ever see him have. Amber's still managing to be annoying.
Don't call me baby.
got it.
Pops his cherry. But as you know, things can't stay good for Mark for too long, because that same night, Mark finds himself traveling to Thraxa to save a bunch of bug people. Once he gets there, not only did the bugs lie to him about the asteroid destroying their planet, but his dad is the leader of their society, the last person he would want to see, the person who abandoned him and his mom, there right in front of him, with a new child no less. It's only been a few months since the incident, and Mark's dad already moved on from his mom and has a new kid. It's like humanly not possible to even do that in that short of a time, but he somehow found the one species that ages fast enough to make it work. Then he pulls a fast one on Mark and tells him that if he doesn't help him defend the planet from Viltrumites, they'll kill his little brother. In the same conversation he found out he has a brother, he also finds out that his death is imminent. Also, just want to point this out, but when Omni-Man met his wife, she was a child. So yeah, do with that what you will. But the Viltrumites end up coming and Mark decides to help. Also, his dad decides to randomly choke him. Because he's sad?
Daddy, chill.
Yeah. But the fight wages on, it's a 2v3. Nolan takes out one of them in the beginning. Then Mark fights the girl and his dad fights the guy. Mark pulls on her hair like an old fight video from World Star. She gets the better of him though and stabs him in the stomach. Nolan takes her out, but eventually they're just too outmatched.
Now I'm always smiling.
Mark wakes up to a random Viltrumite telling him they've sentenced his dad to die and that he has to conquer Earth or millions of people will be killed. Mark stays back in Thraxa for a few months and helps them rebuild, which good for him for doing that. But I could not last that long without the internet. He should have stayed home when he had the chance. Now he has to take care of his stepbrother, bring him back to Earth and explain to his mom what happened. But he doesn't even get the opportunity to really soak it all in because he's sent on another mission back in space, where he has to stop a bunch of mind control space squids. He successfully manages to do so, but upon returning from space, Duplicate is dead and Rex and Ray are on the brink of death. Plus, he has to listen to Amber's problems. On top of that, Alan comes back and has the balls to ask Mark for help somewhere in space. For the one time in the entire show, Mark says no and just chills on Earth. He even gets to go to Comic-Con and bargains a new deal where he gets 2 free days of the week where he can have free time. And on his first free day he decides to take Amber on a date. Everything's going good when, wouldn't you know it, a Viltrumite shows. Mark can't have a single day to himself. The Viltrumite grabs Amber's neck and threatens to kill her, achieving the one thing I thought wouldn't be possible and getting Amber to shut up. Anissa tells Mark he needs to take over the planet, and when he says no, she almost sends him to the afterlife. But if I'm being honest, I would let her step on me too. She takes off from the planet when she realizes Mark won't follow her orders, threatening him that someone else will be back to teach him. Mark goes to console Amber after what just happened, and they both realize they need to break up. For how much I hated Amber, they did a really good job at making this scene emotional.
I would never cry to a Frank Ocean song, let's be honest. I am a man.
Mark is sitting on a rooftop, coping when he gets a call from Angstrom Levy, who's holding his mom hostage. Like, you can't make this up. I would say this is an awful day for him, but this is just Tuesday. The writers of this show need to spread out the events happening. Jesus, let this guy have some time. But nope, he has to deal with this. When he gets there, Angstrom starts sending him to a bunch of different realities, trying to tire him out. Angstrom is succeeding when he decides to beat Debbie and break her arm.
He needs some milk.
When he brings Mark back, he goes berserk. Angstrom teleports them to another universe where Mark kills him. Now he has to deal with the emotional weight of taking another person's life and living the rest of his life in this alternate universe all alone. But thankfully he's brought back to his time, and a future version of Eve tells him she liked him. That's where we end season 2, which ended a whole lot better for Mark than the first season. Let's see if that continues. Season 3 begins with Mark training. He's like twice as strong and fast and able to take twice as hard of a beating. Mark also asks Eve out, but he's so stupid he brings up the fact that future version of her told him to do it, so they argue.
Sin City was made, yeah.
But with no time to talk about it, they have to fight Doc Seismic again. Can they not keep this guy locked up? It's getting ridiculous. If this was real life, bro was getting the death penalty. They end up having to fight these giant underground centipedes, and Mark gets stabbed through the chest and knocked out by Doc Seismic. Every superhero is trapped in these bubbles and about to be buried under the earth. But Cecil brings backup. The people who save them are the same people who Mark put in jail, which rightfully pisses Mark off. How are you gonna let all his hard work not pay off? I'd be pissed too if I took down someone who not only killed innocent people, but turned my best friend's boyfriend into a cyborg, permanently scarring them, and you let them go, and when confronting the person responsible for letting them free, you get attacked? Mark's a better man than me because I'm not just choking him, I'm clapping his cheek. I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter telling him how I feel. Mark, rightfully so, quits the GDA, but at least him and Eve get together. Although he's not working for Cecil, Mark still has to deal with the threats to Earth. The Mahler twins once again have pulled off some scheme, and Mark has to put a stop to it, because literally everyone else is useless. When he gets there, he has to detonate a nuke in space, while Oliver, who snuck along, deals with the twins. When Mark, who just tanked a nuclear bomb, goes back to check on his brother, he sees him standing over the Mahlers, absolutely destroyed. He really soloed them by himself with the Guardians all standing there watching. He really said, they can't guard shit. But Mark is obviously freaked out because his baby brother is covered in blood and lying about killing them. This definitely has to trigger some PTSD from his dad making him do the same thing in the subway. But he and his mom have a talk with him, so I guess it's all good. Mark also sees something spying on him, which when confronted explodes in his face. Can't even be safe in his own home. But that's fine because it's time to have his first date with Eve, which ends with him getting forced to go to the future where he has to kill a crazy tyrant who's destroying the world, and it ends up being immortal. Honestly, this guy takes so many L's, I might need to make a video about how he's the victim. Also the fact that no one likes him, I made a short asking people who their least favorite character is with almost 1,000 comments, and I swear almost half of them are him. Mark gets back to the past and him and Eve play some Super Smash Bros in bed. Mark and Eve want some privacy when they play, so they decide to get their own place, but they need the money to do so. Why did I think the government was paying them for being superheroes? You'd think risking your life every day would get you some kind of bread, but no. Also, if they really need money, Eve could just create it. They don't need jobs, she's a literal money printer. But alas, they start working for the prison as security. And as soon as he gets the job, he's already racially profiling someone.
That's gotta be racist.
Then a dragon attacks the prison, and he tries to defend it, but he gets skewered like Harry from Spider-Man 3. But with the help of the other mob workers, he takes down the dragon, and him and Eve get to go on their merry way, sitting on the roof in the same spot that they always do, to have a conversation. I swear, every episode has a conversation here. There's gotta be a butt print left behind, like my sweaty ass at the gym. They decide not to get their own place in the meantime though. At this point of the show, it's been a year since the Chicago incident, and it's time for the memorial. Mark and his family decide to go, but some asshole has to ruin it by trying to fight Mark. Like, people are just trying to mourn. You couldn't have done this at another time. But Eve takes his ass out, so Mark can have his moment to himself. The guy escapes and holds a woman and child hostage. Mark obviously comes to the rescue, and when he gets there, this guy is blaming Mark for his sister and niece dying during the Chicago attack. Which is kind of BS because Mark was trying to stop the attack. Mark gets him under control because the man is clearly unstable, and he starts to free the hostages when the woman spits in his face. It is an understatement when I tell you, I would crash out. There would be another Chicago situation if someone spit in my face when I'm trying to help them. But Mark's a better man than me. He's thrown off by the audacity of this woman when Powerplex starts beating on him and goes Super Saiyan, giving him some electroshock therapy. When he recovers from it, he looks up to see Powerplex holding his dead wife and child. Instead of taking a second to reflect on his actions, the man in front of Mark starts unleashing all his anger on him. Knowing it's better to just let him use up all his power, Mark just tanks the damage. He sends him to jail, where he sees him locked up and still feels partially responsible for how he ended up there. He apologizes, but this man still places all the blame on him. Let that man rot, like his dead wife and child. Yeah, I said it. The next day, Mark gets notified that the prison is under attack again. When he goes to defend it, he sees it destroyed by someone who looks like the white trash version of him. Apologies to any of my Mohawk listeners out there. He realizes this Invincible is from another world and takes him out, only for him to be jumped by superheroes who think he's a bad guy. Eventually, Mark takes him out and convinces the other heroes that he's from this planet. Him and Eve meet up and they go patrolling. When they see some heroes getting destroyed by COVID mask Mark, they start beating on him. But Omni Mark pulls up and now it's a 2v2. Then, all of a sudden, Omni Mark snatches Eve's ankle harder than Prime Kobe. Mark's freaking out, but Cecil creates a distraction so he can bring Eve in. They hook her up to the machines, but she's basically in a coma. Cecil tells Mark he has to go back out and fight, but he can't. He just witnessed his girlfriend's leg get ripped in half, and the other Invincibles might find her. How can Cecil expect him to fight? He sits out the rest of the battle, but when he finds out that Angstrom Levy is behind it, he knows that he has to get his justice. Angstrom tries to beat Mark with his balls. He just keeps on sending his balls at Mark. There's so many balls that Mark can't take it. He's never had this many balls in his life, but he manages to beat them all back and avoid the portals. He grabs his neck and Oliver tells him to kill him.
Do it.
But he hesitates for a second. He's never taken a life. Angstrom takes this chance to escape, but at least now he's gonna have to use his left hand to take care of business. Mark goes back to the hospital to check on Eve, but she's still unconscious. Then he goes to help rebuild the cities and look for survivors when all of a sudden he gets blasted with electricity. He looks up to see it's Powerplex, who's persuading everyone to turn on him. He's looking at him with such anger, you'd think he killed his wife and child. Oh wait, that was Powerplex's fault. Yeah, look in a mirror, buddy. But they restrain him and take him away, leaving Mark feeling like shit. The whole world is in ruins, and it was done by people that looked exactly like him. He takes a minute to catch his breath, when all of a sudden he feels something looming over him, and he sees this behemoth of a man. He just went through one of the worst days of his life by his standard, which would probably be the worst day of any person's life ever. And now, he wants to hit something. The man says he's here to conquer your world, and you know you don't have to hold back. You start fighting, but he's substantially stronger. He's beating your ass harder than your dad ever did. You throw him into space, and he emotes on you, blowing you a kiss. He then proceeds to embarrass you with how easily he is whooping you. You try to stop him for a second so you can talk, but he slams your head into the ground. He's having too much fun to stop. All of a sudden, your little brother comes out of nowhere to help you, but you know that he'll do more harm than good. You try to get him to leave, but it's just something about little brothers wanting to hang with you when you're with your friends. Mom said it's my turn on the Xbox type beat. Conquest gets you out of the picture by literally bitch slapping you into a building. You get up a few seconds later, dazed and blurry, to see your little brother going through a very quick growth spurt. You rush over and save him just in time, which actually pleases Conquest. He grabs you like your father did and uses your body to kill hundreds of innocent people. You're absolutely getting dogged. When your girlfriend, who when you last saw her was almost dead, pulls up. You tell her to leave, but she doesn't listen. You're getting scared that something's gonna happen to her, so you start fighting sloppy. And that's when Conquest literally karate chops your leg so hard, your bone pops out. You can't move. You're in so much pain. You see Eve going crazy, using more than those stupid pink walls, so you know she's serious. But Conquest is unstoppable. He punches a hole through your girlfriend and gives her a permanent smile.
Let's put a smile on that face.
You catch her body and hold her as her life drains. You're so mad, you don't care about the pain anymore. You punch Conquest so hard, you destroy his middle arm, but you break your hand in the process. He's beating you, but you're doing everything you can. You even bite him as hard as you can, pulling out a chunk of him. Somewhere on the planet, Mike Tyson is smiling. Still, it's not enough. He's got you pinned and is about to kill you. He starts whispering in your ear.
Your little pussy belongs to me.
And you almost feel bad for him. If only he didn't kill your girlfriend. Or did he? You hear her call your name, and when you look up, she's glowing pink. She zaps Conquest so hard that he might actually be dead. Your body is aching everywhere, but you don't care. The person you love is alive. You turn to look at Conquest, and you can tell that might not be for long. He says he's gonna make sure she stays dead this time, which sets you off. You're madder than you've ever been. You start pummeling him with your one good hand, but he catches it, and with ease breaks every bone in your hand. You have no more hands to fight, but you remember something your dad once told you.
Think, Mark, think!
So you start using your head. Probably not what he meant by that, but you finally manage to take him down. You drag your broken body to lay next to the person you love the most in this world, and you pass out. You wake up in a hospital bed. Your hands are broken, but besides that, you're alright. So is your little brother, and so is Eve. You can rest now. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. You've risked your life over and over again to save the planet, only for them to turn their backs on you and treat you like the villain. That's what your life's been like ever since you woke up from your brutal fight with Conquest. You don't show it, but it hurts you deep down, and you use that pain to work harder and help more people. After another exhausting day, you get called into the city, and at first, it seems like a routine stop. When out of nowhere, you're ambushed by a guy who looks like Barney. You ask him what his deal is, and he starts going on and on about how he's glad you caused thousands of people to die, and that the planet needs even more if it has any chance of surviving. You know what he's saying isn't true, but hearing it still hits a nerve. The fight itself doesn't last long. You overpower him pretty quickly, and just as you're about to finish him off, the dinosaur suddenly disappears, and all you see is a random guy. But before you can even process what's happening, you're grabbing him by the throat. He begs for you to help him, telling you that whenever he goes to sleep, he turns into the dinosaur and can't control what he does. But you don't stop choking. For a moment, it looks like you're actually about to kill him, when all of a sudden, the Guardians show up and you finally let go. You've been more out of control recently, but you don't have time to think about that. Instead, you fly to Eve's house, where you promise to have dinner with her parents. You just want to unwind after a long day, but Eve's dad keeps on throwing shade at you. The next morning, your breakfast gets interrupted when you and Eve are suddenly called out to a power plant, where some electrical powered girl is talking about her people needing the planet's energy to survive. The fight doesn't last long, even with Eve being pretty much useless with her powers not working. But the second you grab her staff, a massive surge of electricity shoots through your body and knocks you unconscious. Thankfully, when you wake up, Eve's standing over the girl who's knocked out, but before you can even ask what's going on with her powers, Cecil has already teleported into the room and is calling you away on another mission. When you get there, the entire city is being overrun with sequids. They're spreading fast, and if they break out of containment, the entire planet could end up infected. You and the Guardians manage to uninfect everyone but one guy. You get a hold of him and wait for someone to get the device that safely removes the parasites, but the shield around the city is seconds away from failure, and the whole world is at stake. So you do the hard thing, but the right thing, and kill the sequid host as everyone watches you with shock and disgust. You fly home shaken up and have a mini panic attack, thinking about what just happened. You need to talk to someone, so you call Eve, but she's busy. Instead, Donald shows up at your door and tells you Cecil wants to have a talk. He's trying to reassure you, saying you shouldn't have to make the tough decisions, to let him handle it. But to you, it doesn't feel comforting, it feels controlling.
Yeah, you're such a good boy for me, aren't you?
And worse than that, in the middle of your conversation, DC Sinclair barges in and asks for your forgiveness. The same guy who murdered a bunch of innocent people and turned your friends into a human experiment. Also, does anyone else think he kinda looks like Cecil? But after the conversation, you fly home and see Eve, and all you want right now is for someone to finally be there for you while you're going through all of this. But before you can even get a word out, she's breaking down in front of you because her powers aren't working. And now, instead of being emotionally supported, you become a shoulder to cry on. After finally calming her down, you start opening up about the rough stretch you've been going through lately, when suddenly another distress call comes in. But it isn't from Cecil, it's from Invincible Inc., so you let Oliver handle it. Now, you have the whole day to unwind. There's never a dull moment when you're a superhero in this universe, and before you know it, you're saving the world again from the Flaxons. You manage to stop them, but lose 2 friends in the process. And before you can even get a second to cope, you get a call from Eve who's panicking, telling you Oliver is in trouble. You rush over and find him seriously injured, and the person responsible? Jake Long, the Mr. Liu, who you thought was dead. So you start going to town on him, but he gets away. And when you find out that Titan is involved and that he almost got your little brother killed, you start pounding on him and get a little carried away until Oliver makes you stop. A few days pass, but killing an innocent man is still weighing on your mind. Needing someone to talk to, you head over to Art's shop and finally let everything out. You tell him about the anger, the violence, and the growing fear that you're slowly becoming your father, but Art isn't buying it. He reminds you that good people worry about becoming monsters, and to prove it, he gives you your old costume back, a reminder of who you were before all of this started. For a moment, you actually feel a little better when you suddenly get a message to go to some random Egyptian tomb. But before you can even reach the site, everything around you disappears. One second you're flying through the sky, the next you're somewhere else entirely. And in front of you is Damien Darkblood. Apparently, he meant to summon your dad, but now you're stuck there with him in hell. And after explaining why you're there and the truth about hell, he asks for your help. You're not in the right headspace, but he says the world is in danger, so you reluctantly agree. The mission is to find some crown that will return Satan's powers, and after going down a pit for what feels like an eternity, you retrieve it and give it back to its owner, which doesn't really feel right because you're basically helping the devil, but oh well, you're just going with the flow. With the crown returned and everything restored, you ask to be sent home, but it's not that simple and your help is needed one more time, which pisses you off, but you agree. Your new job is to help fight Volcanica and free the demons trapped under her control. At first, you just clear a path so the others can fight, but when she easily defeats them and starts talking about world domination, you let your emotions get the better of you and you give her a new hairdo.
So no head?
But before you can even feel bad about what you did, her head regenerates again and again until she eventually decides to just melt back into the earth. But hey, at least the job is done and you finally get to go back home. And once back on Earth, you get a rare moment of peace. No world-ending threat, no war, no one asking you to make another impossible decision, just you floating through the sky, enjoying the best part of your powers, being weightless. Which of course, doesn't last long before you have to deal with some bullshit, because as soon as you get home, you find out that your mom is selling the house. And when you go to sit on the roof for the millionth time to decompress, you're interrupted by Eve, who tries to comfort you. But this is Invincible, so obviously, your dad chooses this moment to come back to Earth and tells you the Coalition is going to war and that he needs your help. You don't want to go, but if you don't, the Viltrumites will come to Earth, so you agree. That night, as you're preparing to leave, you say bye to your mom when Oliver comes downstairs and is pissed that not only was he not told about what's happening, but their dad didn't even come to visit him. So he decides that he's coming too, and you can't stop him. Somehow, your mom agrees. And that night, you all sit down for dinner for what might be the last time, ending with you and Eve having one more sleepover where you promise you'll make it back to her. The next morning, you and Oliver head off for war, joining the rest of your dad's crew, and immediately the trip is awkward. Throughout the journey, you're stuck in the middle of Oliver and your dad beefing. And while talking to Alan about it, the ship is attacked. Before you can even process what's happening, Oliver and Nolan take the worst of the damage. You rush to find them, and when you do, your stomach drops. Standing in front of you are 3 Viltrumites, including Conquest, who, when the last time you saw him, looked like a grape that got stepped on. And of course, Oliver decides to be a fucking idiot and attack Conquest one-on-one. You try to stop him, but you're stuck fighting someone else. And before you know it, Oliver is getting his head squished again, when your dad comes to the rescue. You ditch the guy fighting you, and go to help your old man. Which means, once again, you're face to face with Conquest. But when he sees Oliver heading for the nearby planet, he hits you with a gut punch diving kick combo like a prime Michael Phelps and ditches you to finish your little brother off. You rush back just as Oliver is about to get bitch slapped into next week and hold onto Conquest's throat like you're trying to get chocolate out of your dog's mouth. He tries everything to get you off, but you won't budge. Conquest starts to fade, his eyes roll back, his body weakens. It actually looks like you're gonna win when all of a sudden he remembers the Viltrumite special attack. And before you know it, he's in your guts deeper than a Mia Khalifa video.
Harder, Daddy.
But you hold on until his body finally goes limp, and you can finally let go as everything fades to black. You wake up slowly, feeling like your entire body got put through a blender. At first, there's no one around, no explanation, no idea how long you've been out. So you wander outside, still trying to understand what happened, when you come across what looks like a grave. But you have no idea whose it could be, and your mind goes to the worst places. You're about to break down when you hear Oliver call your name, and turn around to see your dad and brother, who hug you like you're a sexy lobster. He tells you that you've been in a coma for 2 months, and that you killed Conquest. But there's no time for celebration, and the 3 of you go to meet up at Coalition headquarters, where of course, the planet is being attacked by the Viltrumites. There's millions of casualties, but you and the others manage to push the Viltrumites back. But the fight isn't over. A massive ship is falling towards the planet, and if it hits, the damage will be catastrophic, which should be easy, right? Your dad once stopped an asteroid the size of Texas from hitting Earth.
You should have seen the asteroid I diverted a few years ago. The size of Texas.
But Even with multiple Viltrumites and the rest of the team helping, you barely manage to push it away in time. Now, you and the rest of the team can help the survivors and start putting the planet back together, right? Wrong. Thetis says that Thrag, the leader of Viltrum, and a few of the remaining Viltrumites will be going back to their home planet, and the best chance of ending the war is to sneak attack when they least expect it, taking out the head of the snake. So that next morning, you and the rest of the team head for Viltrum, armed with every weapon the Coalition has collected. But the second you arrive, something feels wrong. The ring around the planet isn't made of rock or ice, it's made of bodies. Billions of dead Viltrumites, floating around their home world like a warning sign, and hiding among them are a few who are still alive. As you're face to face with Thrag, they ambush you. The team manages to take out a few of them with all the weapons you've brought, when, for the third fucking time, Oliver decides to attack one of the strongest people ever, all on his own, and ends up with fewer limbs and teeth. Seeing your little brother mangled up like that sends you over the edge. You stop thinking and rush Thrag, throwing everything you have at him, only to get absolutely demolished. Things are falling apart fast, until your dad tells you to follow him. And before you know it, you're flying straight through the core of Viltrum as the heat and pressure literally disintegrate the costume off of you. But once you're done, the planet is uninhabitable, looking like a scene straight out of a disaster movie. And as Thetis is telling the other Viltrumites to surrender, Thrag politely interrupts him
by ripping his fucking head from his body.
Like he's made of cake.
Oh! What is happening? What is that? What is
Jesus
this?
Christ! Cake! It's cake!
You don't even have time to react before he goes after your dad. You follow them and eventually catch up. Now, it's a 2v1 and you both tag team him, but you don't even pose a threat. Your punches do nothing and you can't outrun him. You ask your dad what you should do, but it's already too late, and Thrag's hand is sticking through his chest like it's an alien movie. And once he's done with your dad, he turns back to you, grabs your face, and starts pressing into your eyes like they're stress balls as you lose consciousness. You wake up to Alan standing over you, and the first thing you ask is where your brother is. He takes you to Oliver's room, where you find your dad watching over him. You hug him and ask how Oliver's doing. He tells you Oliver will survive, he just needs time to heal. And for a second, that's enough to calm you down. But then, Alan tells you something else. The Viltrumites haven't been seen since the battle, and that's when it hits you. They didn't disappear, they went to Earth. Panic takes over immediately, and you rush back home as fast as you can. But the journey is taking forever, and you can't help but stress out as your mind runs through every horrible thing that could be happening. And even if you do get there, there's not really a plan. But that doesn't stop you from flying as fast as you can towards Earth as soon as the ship is within range. You scan the planet looking for signs of destruction, but everything looks normal. You go back to your house to update your mom on what's going on, when all of a sudden, Thrag shows up, grabs your mom's head, and rips it off like it's nothing. Or so you thought, because as soon as you snap out of it, you realize it was all in your head. So you say bye to your mom and head for Eve's. When you get there, you notice that she's a little different. She's thick now. It's been a few months since you've seen your girlfriend, so you make up for lost time. Later that day, while visiting your best friend, it happens again. One second everything is normal, the next, everyone around you is dead. And Anissa is standing over your best friend, killing him right in front of you. Except, she isn't. But this isn't the last time you're gonna have a vision, because later that night, while sitting on that spot of the roof that you love so much, you get another vision of Thrag killing Eve. And when you come back to reality, she's staring at you, terrified. So, you do what you always do, you pretend you're fine. She looks at you like she needs to get something off her chest, so you ask what's wrong, and she lets you know that she got an abortion. And as she starts blaming herself, saying it's all her fault, it hits you like a brick wall. None of this is her fault. In fact, it's all your fault. You got her pregnant, you left her when she was at her most vulnerable, and when she had to do one of the most difficult things in deleting the fetus, you were in another galaxy. The next morning, after stewing about what Eve said, you tell her how you feel, thinking this could be the end of the relationship, but instead of letting it die, Eve holds you, and reassures you that this is what she signed up for. You're hugging, when all of a sudden, your dad comes to say bye, when your mom shows up and tells your dad she's coming with him, and you watch your mom and dad leave for what could be the last time. After that, you head to see Cecil to catch him up, but while you're talking, it happens again. Another vision, and you realize mentally, you're in a really bad place. You've been trying to push through every fight, every loss, every impossible decision, but it's catching up to you. So you ask Cecil for the counseling he once offered. After everything that's happened, you go home and try to relax, but the second you walk inside, the silence hits you. No Oliver, no mom, just you. Eve shows up and tells you to go for a fly to clear your mind, so you do, just flying without a destination and enjoying the powers you never really got a chance to, when all of a sudden you see Thrag in front of you. Oh great, another vision. But when you close your eyes and try to clear your mind, he's still in front of you, and you realize he's actually here. So you start going to town on him, blow after blow, throwing everything you have, because all you can see is the end of your planet, your friends, your family, everyone you love. But he's unfazed and tells you to hear him out. He tells you how things are gonna go. The remaining Viltrumites are gonna live among the humans. They're gonna blend in, build lives, and repopulate their species. And if you try to stop them, they'll kill millions. So he gives you the option. Let them live in peace or suffer the consequences. And with the weight of the world resting on your shoulders, you make the hardest possible decision you've ever had to make and allow the Viltrumites to live amongst you. But why do you always have to make the hard decisions? Why do you always have to suffer? Why is your life a roller coaster of pain? It's because you're in